So this is my first Hex Terrain map that I made from the Hex Terrain Toolkit that I got off Kickstarter 4 weeks ago. I initially contributed to that last September. It eventually came to fruition a few weeks ago, and ever since I got the kit I've been working on this basically most days, adding little bits and pieces, adding new hexes to it. Hexes are made out of polystyrene or styrofoam underfloor heating that come in sheets via eBay, 600 by 1200 millimeter sheets, and they're made up of two thicknesses. I've got 6mm and 10mm. Unfortunately I don't do 15mm, which is the size of the hexes. So these hexes here, the full size ones are 15mm, and then the half size is 7.5mm. So I have to glue them together. So as you can see, that one's made up of a 10mm and another 10mm cut down to cut down to 5. So sorry, a 10mm and a 6mm, and the top millimetre shaved off to make it 15 in total. So that's the half size, 7.5mm, and then they're made with the little snowflakes on the bottom that fit into the matrix, made up of hundreds, literally hundreds of these, all cut out with wire cutters. So hence you can see why it's taken 4 weeks, using most of my spare time to make this map. So the map's made up of various pieces. You've got your standard full-size hex and the half-size hex, which I've used them all up. That's one cut in half for the edges, and then they're all plotted together in a map. So this is the full-size end, and you can see the half cut into half to make the edges, and then along this side you just want the little corners, which I've yet to do. So the map's made out of various different hexes, just the standard plain ones, full size and half size. You can see the half size ones in the middle of the valley here. So you've got valley edges, and then the half size ones running along here, and again here. So these ones are the half size, they're the 7mm ones. That's how they fit in there. One of the problems I found with the kit is that the wooden templates tend to get some damage to them, and with a constant pressure of the hot wire cutter against the corners are gradually being rounded, which means that some of the corners are quite sharp, but then some of them start to round off. So the fit sometimes is not ideal. Unfortunately, the patio is not entirely flat, so it may be, but it's not the best surface to demonstrate them on. But you can see in some places that the corners have been rounded when I've been making them. So I'm not sure how to protect the templates, because they're not the strongest of wood material. Anyway, so this is the valley. So it's actually made up of two pieces, 7.5mm each, and then you cut the top one to size, and then you put it on a full-size bottom one. So this one I've made it into a more of an artistic shape rather than straight across. I started doing straight across ones, which is how the templates come, and then I thought, well, actually they look better with a bit of contouring. So from then on I started doing the contours. And so we've got a little valley there, I've got a little valley here, and then I've made some Oh, incidentally, look, I ran out of pieces, so I need to build a couple of corners to round off the cut, otherwise you get those shelves that you don't need. So I've made some track hexes. For the purposes of this 28mm bolt action, these are tracks, just wide enough to take a tank, and probably not big enough as for road scale wise. And what I've done is I've taken a full-size hex and then used the wire cutter to drag across and sort of carve out a couple of millimetres so that the track looks built in, rather than laying it across the top of the terrain, because I think that'll look better. And the same with the river or stream, as it is at this scale. At a smaller scale it would be a river, but I think at 28mm it's just a stream. A couple of strides and your figures could be across that. So these are made up of two half size or half thickness hexes. You cut the top one to make the valleys and stick them onto the bottom one and then paint them up. So all these hexes are painted with Wilkinson's emulsion. The brown and the blue are just the £1 tester pots, and then the green I've got a big tin of green paint for a tenner. I'm about quarter to a third of the way through that. And then just highlighted with a bit of white from the tester pot, just to add a little bit of detail on the road and the stream. These aren't finished. I just put them on for scale, and they need highlighting and weathering yet, but they're just giving an indication of what they look like at this scale. So these are 28mm bolt action vehicles. So this is just basically a flat terrain that I've designed, mainly because it's the easiest, but eventually I'll start adding hills, and you can do that quite easily. The kit allows you to make risers, so for instance, if you take a normal hex and carve a snowflake into it, then you can add another hex on top. So you would not necessarily paint the bottom ones, just leave those blank, I guess, with just the edges, and then you can plonk on another one and build up a series of hills using some contoured edges so that the hills are smooth. But I've not mastered the art of doing those hill hexes yet, but that'll probably be my next project. And I may well do a lot of flat grey for a cityscape, and then I can stick buildings on like Stalingrad type ruins, so I'll probably do a whole set of grey hexes as well. That's about it. There's the spare ones that I've got so far. It's 6 foot by 4 foot currently. As you can see, I'm in the garden as I don't have a table big enough to take it, so I'll probably end up maybe gaming with a half size, so I can fit it on the kitchen table depending on where we're wargaming. But I'm quite pleased with it. I think it looks quite nice. I was a bit wary of having different flock shades, but actually I think it works quite well, rather than having everything exactly the same. I think it looks quite nice with the different shades of flock, so I'm not too worried about that. So there we have it, my Hex Terrain Wargame map, first one, 6 foot by 4 foot, from the Kickstarter project that I joined last September. Hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.